up north in the Chilcotins, and it was me and 5 friends. We were camping and come out of our tents in the morning, and we heard a noise. There's this little lake that was right next to our camping spot. We all kind of yelled around. We were like, hey, who's in the water? Who's in the water? And everyone yells back, no, not me, not me. And we look into the water right next to our camp spot, and there's a grizzly bear and 3 little cubs.
It was that moment the panic set in for Adam Mantle and his friends.
To see a grizzly that close, and then to see the cubs, there's definitely got the heart going.
Luckily, Adam and his friends are experienced campers, and so all their food and other belongings were safely put away, likely why the bears left them alone. But this wasn't the case at a campsite in Squamish not too long ago, where a bear ripped through a tent in search for food that was left unattended. The campsite had to be shut down for a while, and the camper was fined. So what should you do to be bear aware while car camping or heading out in the backcountry? The first thing to remember is we're entering their territory.
The key thing is here is we want to coexist with the wildlife. We don't want to tolerate their presence in our neighborhoods, but then we're going into their neighborhoods when we go camping. And so we've really got to guide our brains thinking about how can I make sure my campsite's not going to attract wildlife.
When you're front country camping, being bear aware is pretty simple.
Bears find food through their sense of smell. They can smell kilometers a mile away, so that's why it's super important to make sure you're managing odors. So any food you're bringing to, say, a front country campsite, and you've got a vehicle with you, anytime you're leaving the campsite, you should be storing all your food, even if you're going to the washroom and your campsite's going to be unattended.
The same goes for when you're sleeping. The only things you should have in your tent is bear spray and a flashlight. But things get a little bit more complicated when you're heading out into the backcountry. The first thing you should do is find a safe place to set up your camp.
And you never want to camp in an area where you can see there's fresh claw marks on trees or fresh scat on the ground. Certainly waterways, riverways, that is definitely a natural wildlife corridor, so you never want to park yourself and tent yourself right in the middle of a berry bush. Just be super, super careful where you're choosing your location.
Next, you need to put all food and products with an odor a safe distance from your tent.
There's a triangle method that they talk about. So if your tent is in one area, make sure your cooking area is at least 100 meters away from there. And then from your cooking area, another 100 meters is where you should store and hang your food.
And remember, no matter where you're camping this summer, you need to pack out what you pack in to keep both you and the wildlife safe.